Okay, so this is gonna be today's recap. Okay, so let's start. What did you both take today, or if you took anything?
We took RTY longs. Yep.
RTY longs, and what were your ideas going into the day?
NQ for shorts, YM for longs, but around 9:30, YM directly reached
Yes, I get your
objective
point.
without giving an entry.
Okay,
So,
I
and then
personally
later we framed
complete your.
RTY as a lagging asset
Uh,
with good enough framework as YM was not reversing off of its
yes.
range extreme. So we framed RTY as lagging asset around 10:15.
Okay, so I personally took one loss on NQ shorting it. I would say kind of valid, maybe not. And I took one win on RTY. Uh, it was kind of more than 2 hour. I longed prior to 10:15. I would go over it. And let's talk about what were my ideas going into the day. NQ, what I can see, okay, yesterday's framework was pretty good off of yesterday. What was the framework? Okay, price engaged with the relevant swing and now not reversing off of it, instead displacing through it. So I was open to framing long still here, but how the day formed wasn't the best way to frame longs for me. It was just an open high for me, and so had reached the perfect, not perfect, but a spot where I would wanna see it not reach prior to my entry. So I wasn't very comfortable with longing NQ. So instead, longing back, sorry, shorting it back towards opening. That was my idea. As overnight session just open high, so I wanted to frame NQ shorts, but the main idea was YM longs. I would go over it, but just wait. So NQ shorts off of here. That was my idea. I wanted to see displacement through this, leave it, but keeping it simple. Price has already reached an point where I would have targeted using this framework, price breaking through here, right? So it has already reached there, so I would now instead want to frame it back towards here and ultimately previous day low, but minimum this low, current low of the day. And now if I just keep it to NQ, it would be kind of self reflection. I could have done something wrong, XYZ. I didn't post any execution as I had to go out, so neither did I post any executions for RTY's win, neither NQ loss. I just came home now, so I want to revisit it, and this is my first priority rather than posting those executions, those win loss XYZ. Price, how it was reacting around 9:30 with current low of the just by mic off या किसी का on है राधे राधे just by and
Radhe Radhe bhai, is it
this
recording?
हाँ जी भाई it
Yes.
is being recorded. This is what I would have wanted to stay as high of the day and 9:30 to expand lower, and I came around 9 a.m. something. Today was NFP, but it wasn't. I do not know because it was of US government
Engaged.
shutdown, so I didn't pay much
Yes.
attention until 9:30. Else this was a good framework to short here, but I wasn't even there at that moment. This was a good framework to go short, direct M15 entry, but I came at charts around here, not here, here, somewhere here, 8:45 here, and at that moment, yes, I wanted to see this hold, breaking through lows, displacing through lows, rejecting highs. So yes, my framework is still towards current low of the day, shorting NQ. But as 9:30 comes, इसको ऑफ कर सकता हूँ मैं. Now better. 9:30 comes around here. This would have been the best time for it to go lower if it really wanted to go lower, as kind of sweeping a somewhat relevant Ideally this should have stayed intact, but still you can frame off of it. So if it was a kind of worthy framework, it should have went lower immediately, but it
And
wasn't.
SMT at high of the day.
It wasn't there at this moment. It formed after like 10 minutes. I was
Okay,
watching
okay,
for it,
my bad.
and
So
I was having an eye on previous day low as well, like low of the day as a partial point, then previous day low. So
Daily FVG, yes.
so I was okay taking this if it would have directly closed through here. Like M5 was much better here. Yes, this. If this would have closed, immediate displacement away from here showing willingness, but 930 failing to show willingness. And yes, that's where I could have done a bit wrong. What I did was, still I wanted to short from here. It got swept here, this high here, because my idea was still this, and I took this M4 closer if I am not wrong. M4 M3 both look exactly same. Yes, I took this M4 on NQ. Phil was around here somewhat, and I was getting to our around low of the day, yes, but still I was having my eyes on previous day low. This, so I would have held a runner, but this ends up getting stopped out. And now revisiting it, how I should have approached, that is the main point for which I would want to cover now. How I could have avoided this framework. हाँ जस्ट भाई माइक ऑफ कर दो, मेरे को भी बैक आ रही थी बस वो नहीं आया, रियलाइज नहीं आया. Like how I could have avoided this, what I could have done better towards this. Yes, it ends up going in my favor thereafter. Idea was right, narrative was right, but where did I went wrong at that moment? Just remember the time, 9:52, right? Remember this. Okay, 9:52. The logic comes from YM, which I, instead of like creating the top down, I focused a bit more on to like revisiting my loss. Okay, how I could have framed it better way, but I could have told myself to not take this, and how I could have figured it out, or XYZ done better. Idea narrative was right, but the entry part, 9:52, right? Here it swept and then continued 9:52. Just remember this. This was my entry. This got stopped out. This was my kind of draw. Okay. Now 9:52. Do remember it. And then now we will go over to YM. We will pause this. Don't forget about it. We will pause this for the moment. If we have a look at YM, just give me a second. I was having an expectation for YM to go higher, like true breakout over here, sweeping this low towards the range. This is a bit unclear. Wait, I would directly post the image. Like off of this low to the range high. And what was the logic behind it? If we have a look at the daily chart, we have a protected swing formed prior to the week's opening, right? And intra week we get a protected swing which we can use to frame away from here. Now on to this draw, we do have one relevant swing, which is the last part or last place where you can face a resistance or price could stop. If this gets displaced through, then this is your draw, right? This one. If I replay this here, yesterday showed me a signature that price is not reversing off of here, not reversing off of here. Instead, price is showing continuation through here, expansion to then retracement to again expansion, not reversing off of here. Okay, expansion. This is consolidation. Sorry, my bad. Consolidation to again expansion, and this signature I would have wanted this low to hold for the same idea. So yes, then here bullish order flow, so I would want a low to reject and towards the ultimate objective, right? This was the objective, so here I was having that bullish expectation, same idea, like sweep this low and towards the range I through breakout over here towards there, but it didn't give any valid entry, I would say, just expanded directly off of there. But what you can use off of it, once 930 starts displacing away, and once 930 does this with this much willingness, right, it confirms the manipulation of this low, which confirms the bullish order flow, and yes, validates the draw for the day as well, right? Once 930 displaces this much, 930 here, now this manipulation here is backed by driver. Once driver expands this much away from a protected swing, or where a protected swing could form, then that is even validated, much more validated, and your idea is much more probable. See the displacement once the driver came in, confirming manipulation below here, right? Now looks better. 930 here, this is 930, it expands this much, right? If I just have a look at 945, then this is the short draw for the day, right? So now one asset has a clear draw at this moment, other assets still no clear direction, right? If bullish, then this is already hit, right, previous day. So only asset which has a clear objective left, which it was YM, right? So now the क्या बोलते हैं उसको, the narrative is clear for YM to expand till there, so other assets would need to wait XYZ blah blah blah. So the best narrative, best idea, or the best framework is for YM to expand till there. Framework is set for YM and even validated by 930 expanding away from here. See 930 in any other asset, not much clear. Yes, still kind of bullish, but no, not much of a probable bullish framework we had on ES. NQ just kind of up down English Spanish. So driver is not validating any idea, neither do have much conviction for bullish idea, right? But this YM expanding this much away from this point where a protected swing could form, and driver validating it, now this is the short draw, right? Not even concerned about this high of the day here, because if it wanted to go lower, it shouldn't have reached the high of the day at the first point. If this is expanding away from here, then obviously reaching for there, this viewing this move lower as a retracement. If this was a reversal, then it shouldn't have reached there at the first place. So this is not even of relevance to me. Yes, I was wanting to see breakout signature through here. First priority was YM longs, yes, but YM didn't give anything for the me as a means of entry to frame anything till there. It was just expanding directly off of 930, but the best framework was there 930. So that led me into looking NQ shorts, which was my second idea for the day. NQ off of previous day high here, tagged previous day, now wanting to frame back towards open. Sorry, intraday low, current low of the day. But the asset which has the draw still open, it has to complete its unfinished business first, right? be it M3, M2, M4. Yeah, you can use this signature as just kind of framework, but I would not use it as a means of entry. You can say price not reversing off of a true breakout over here as well, which I would have wanted to see because this would be my objective once 930 starts displacing away from here. So until this is hit, short shouldn't be in my mind until this is hit on YM, right? So how I could have framed that NQ short better is to at least wait until YM reaches for its objective, because one asset this is set to expand till there, and that idea is even much more validated by the 930 driver, which is the only driver for the day. Other assets don't have any clear framework for the day. Only this asset had open objective, and it is that idea is being validated by the driver. So yes, waiting till YM reaches this point, if I were to even look for shorts on the correlated asset, this should have been done, and this gets hit. यार ये क्या हो गया? This gets hit around this 54, 954, right? If I was gonna, I should have looked shorts in the other asset which had the premium, which was NQ. Then this should have been the point of time 954, 954, 9. अच्छा मैं 4 मिनट पे था ना NQ पे, है ना? This 952 candle onwards, then I could have looked to frame shots on NQ. And if I go towards NQ, मेरे को इसको एक रिप्लाई मारना पड़ेगा. Once YM reaches for its objective, then I can frame the other asset to the different direction, because this asset had reached into its objective. So yes, I can frame other assets to the opposing side. And then 952 onwards, then I get the signature, the same signature which I used but just a few minutes earlier here. So yeah, that could have been done waiting for the asset which has the clear rest objective, I would say, and it is being validated by the driver. Same signature used here again, M4. Then yeah, this worked. So this is the only way I revisited my idea that optimize entry around here, trusting this high low of the day minimum point 1.5 hour, then partials here to then getting break even for if you were gonna hold till previous day low. But yeah, this idea did work 1.5 hour. Only after the asset reached for its objective, which was YM, right? So that way I revisited my NQ shots, how I could have performed better with NQ, because YM had the clearest framework, but it simply didn't give me any worthy means of entry which I would like to capitalize upon. Give me this framework, I would never long. I would let it go. I would not try to chase it. But narrative idea on NQ was right. Yes, 100% right. Like framing back towards the low of the day and previous day low, that was valid for me. But just seeing how willingly 930 enters into NQ, not being that much good, and with the clear objective open in YM, and how 930 validating with displacement. So waiting for YM to reach for its objective should have been done, and framing it after YM reaches 9. This is M4, sorry, 952 candle. Then my SL here would have been converted into a win, but still I would say on the narrative part I did like 70-80% right. 20-30% wrong was not based off of NQ, a little bit off of NQ, like 930 when it is not clearly willing to go anywhere. Like see this is not what you wanna see at 930. This means it is lacking somewhat or waiting for something. this 930 means that this is quality framework. So yeah, this should have given more importance than NQ. So yes, works. So idea was right, just fumbled a little bit on the execution part. Yes, Udemy, how you would like to approach my this loss on NQ? Then I would go over that RTY long. I took a win on RTY as well. Like post 10 a.m. This was my SL prior to 10 a.m. I took a win after it on RTY. We would just complete this NQ loss first. How would you go over
Uh,
it, UDY?
nice, why nice. That thing that you said about correlation, waiting for the asset which had clear framework, waiting for it to reach
Not
its
just clear
higher time
framework,
frame
but
draw.
clear framework being
Uh,
backed by the driver, which was the only driver for the day. 8:30
yes,
NFP was cancelled or delayed for today. So I wouldn't pay much
correct.
attention to 8:30 today. 9:30 not showing much willingness or clarity in NQ. So not the best asset to like give preference. At the same time, if you look at YM, had objectives open, had better framework, and that framework being this clearly validated by the 930 driver, showing this much displacement. See the whole day and see once the 930 driver comes. So yeah, this should be paid much more relevance than NQ post 930 at least, because only asset which has the idea validated and immediately validated was YM. So this is the sure shot and the most like close in the sense of time, not price, in the close proximity objective this range I. So waiting for this is the best way I would think I would have could have approached this short idea of NQ. And why not, why I'm long, I just said I would never long this, because no good means of framework, no good means of entry framework being
Entry,
too good, but not something.
not as well.
There wasn't any low post 930 which I could trust. Clear validation came after 930 started to expand. At this moment in time, yes, I am sure I can frame away from here, but after this, I was wanting something, a low which I could trust. Let me use pen. This was my first priority to long YM. That's why I sent that screenshot. I didn't post about NQ shorts. That was my second priority, but first priority being YM long. But there was simply no low which I could trust post 930. Prior 930, this was only validated after 930 started to expand. This idea was my first priority for the day, longing YM towards range. But post 930, I was wanting something like this. It can reach for here and form thereafter and form before that. I wasn't even worried about this here, because worrying about this only makes sense if price does not reach for here. Like it should not go bearish off of here now, because if price wanted to go bearish, it should have stayed protected at the first point. If you want to frame daily OHLC, then this should have stayed protected. If this is not the high of the day, then this was kind of retracement with the objective somewhat higher than it, and that is this objective here. Now you get what I mean.
Definitely, why this is something that is an eye opener.
But there wasn't simply any entry signature or any low post 930 which I could trust using as a means for entry. Framework being too good, I would agree, yes. This opposing candle good for framework, but I cannot trust it. Yes, I cannot. I simply can't. Too good framework. I am okay, but price would have did something this, and that would have been the best case for me to take YM norms. I would have taken my target still here to meet the risk reward of 2 hour, because I am confident that it would expand past this as well, seeing the like willingness. So I would have taken this somewhat this. I would have been completely okay. Like if 2 hour goes higher than this, I would have been completely okay. But there wasn't simply any entry framework on YM. So yeah, but then this made me think, okay, my second priority was NQ shots. Then I went to NQ. But what I could have done better is waiting for the asset which has the best framework, and that is also validated by driver. Once that is set, and at this time, if we have a look at NQ's correlated asset, yes, it sweeps the current high of the day as well. Now this idea is much more validated, seeing the displacement away after ES reaches high of the day, and and YM reaches for its objective. Now you could consider NQ shots. So this is the best way I could have approached my this loss on NQ, which was here, like using this as a window. Same thing, but I just didn't pay much attention to YM. I was just paying attention to it for finding a long entry. Just too focused on to finding an entry, I would say, was my drawback today. Like if I do not find a long entry in YM, I would immediately hop onto NQ to find a short entry. Kind of impulsive move, and maybe yes, but I just want to reflect back on it. So that is when I took NQ shots 940 at this time. But why I'm being too obvious to reach for here, then waiting for it would have been the best case scenario. NQ's framework gets held, but just after YM reaches for its objective. Same thing, another sweep and M for closure. This here. So paying attention to how driver enters in NQ and how driver enters in YM. YM should have been the asset to pay much more attention. How you would approach it, UDBY? I tried my best to find the reason how I could have like waited, and how I could have like found to not pay attention to this short framework here on NQ.
But to be honest, at this point of time today, we were very much focused on YM
Yes, but at
over
this
NQ
moment
and
I was
ES.
again ready to take shot after YM hit. Yes, I took this long shot, this SL here, but again framework for NQ was still valid for me. But I
Yeah,
saw
correct,
this
correct.
M4, but I wanted to take this M5.
But just the way in 9:30 entered those first like 10 minutes or something, it was
Uh,
a clear turn off that you know
yes, turn off thing,
YM.
है ना?
Uh,
This
uh,
isn't something you wanna see 930 do.
yep.
Like if this was the quality framework for the day, 930, you have a clear retracement like prior to 930, right? Like 930 doing this objective open reaches into a point where it should immediately reject. Like enough opposing move has been done, 930 should immediately go, but when it doesn't immediately do that, that is kind of turn off, है ना?
We
So
were,
yes,
in fact, waiting for this closure around
yes,
9
I was
3's M3.
yes, I was
Before
ready
that,
to
before that
take
also.
this M5 here, this one, but then it comes and fails to close below here. Like 930 tags this, it comes all the way there. I remember, like tags this, not all the way, but kind of, right? But it fails to close below, sorry. Then that is kind of turn off, or like NQ is waiting for an asset which has a clear framework. And yeah, like if it was, or it should have been a quality framework, 930 should have gone immediately away from here. This should have been the best spot for a 930 high. When it doesn't show immediate reaction, then yeah, waiting could have been considered turn off thing. But how I would say, like yes, I was doing right with wanting to long YM as it was the best asset. But when I did not get an entry, I didn't was not able to find an entry in YM. I did not like forced an entry in it. I let it go. That is one of the good thing I would say I did, and I have no regrets missing out on
Okay.
this because I would never
Same
take
for us.
this. I have no regrets of missing this. Not a high quality entry, framework high quality, but not a high quality entry. But
Like, in the same time,
yes,
RTI also gave a M2 closer which we let go.
that
Wrote
could
that
have been
that
considered. I
variable.
remember SMT with this low, है ना? Enough ranged,
Yes.
this low,
Yes.
fair value gap was here. I do remember. I would talk about RTY. I just wasn't talking about it now because I wanted to
Okay.
keep it
Okay. Okay.
around NQ and YM because that were the two things I had a bit of framework going into the day. Like fair value gap somewhere here, a 2 minute enough range closer through. I do remember it. This one you are talking, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I did see it, but I just wanna keep the topic on to NQ and YM's framework.
Okay. Okay.
I will talk about it once I get into RTY. I took a win on RTY yesterday, but I won't talk about it until I am done with NQYM. But seeing this, that I am not able to find an entry in YM, I would say kind of an impulsive move by me, kind of not something which I would do on a regular basis, but once in a while that I was too focused on to getting an entry that I should get an entry, despite the fact that if this asset has a good framework, and then I should try to find entry only in this. But when it does not, it is not able to give me a quality entry which I would trust. That is one good thing I did today, that not take a FOMO entry in YM. I would 100% appreciate my that thing, not taking a FOMO entry in YM. But how I approached it, maybe that if not YM entry, then okay, NQ entry. But how it should have been approached is framework best for YM. So entry should only be like, entry part should only be looked upon YM. If it gives, you take. If it doesn't give, you do not take. I followed that part. If it doesn't give a quality framework, I would not take. But what I did fumble on is, if not YM entry, then NQ short. YM's framework wasn't invalidated, just didn't give me an entry which I would trust. So immediately, कोई बात नहीं तेज भाई. So immediately I shifted on to NQ. Okay, just any not any random, but kind of good. But YM should have been of preference until it reaches for its objective. Doesn't mean that if it is not able to give me an entry, I should find an entry in NQ. You divide like finishing review of yours on this now.
Same, I, this correlation factor that you told is something that I learned today, which is an interesting, superb topic that you are talking,
Like
superb talk.
uh, I
Yeah,
desperately wanted to reflect back on it. That's
yeah,
why I didn't
yeah, yeah,
even
yeah.
pay attention to creating any top down. Leave it YM, leave it RTY win or NQ loss. I didn't care about those two, but I wanted to reflect back on it. And this is the best way I could come up with.
And one thing that we did around same time is we were looking at YM, we were looking at ES, we were looking at NQ. NQ
ES
was a clear turn off,
wasn't on my
even,
books today.
yeah. And
Just
yes, just for correlation to
a
see how
kind
it
of
is.
correlation, but
Huh,
I was
huh.
pretty clear going into the day. Either YM longs, and
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
was my
That we
first
were
packing.
also clear by, yes.
Either YM
But
longs.
what I'm saying is,
Uh,
since we are looking at both of the three of these, we picked YM and we were like, we'll focus on this. We'll let them go because YM had the best narrative, best
yes,
driver.
and
The way the driver enters
immediate
is,
willingness.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That is
All the good things were in YM and we focused
a
on it.
case
We,
where
we
you,
let
uh,
we
bolo,
let
bolo.
NQES go. So I think that is one
Yes,
thing that we did good.
this much validation by driver. That
Yeah.
is kind of case where you can 100% say this is and should be the draw now. Price is reaching for here, and so waiting for YM until the best asset reaches for its objective. So you can do any other thing with the other correlated assets you want. 952. then you could have looked to frame NQ, and that is kind of backed by the displacement. It showed immediately at the same time 952, and if you correlate,
Basically, Sunandan bhai,
uh,
we just applied the logic that you just explained unintentionally because we were
Yeah.
too focused on YM after how the 930 entered in the
yes,
market.
and that should be the approach. Like I fumbled a bit on it just because I wasn't able to find entry on YM. Impulsive decision that okay, if not YM entry, then immediately NQ entry, just because I have a bias. But driver relation on NQ, I failed to do it today. Maybe driver validation wasn't there on NQ, so
Yep.
being a bit conservative on NQ should have been done, and aggressive on YM after that 930 validation. So, and this then is backed by ES sweeping current high of the day, immediate displacement away, YM reaching for its objective, and NQ showing displacement as well. Then once you
But
do
there is
not
one
get
thing
an
else
entry,
that I remember now.
once you do not get an entry in YM, then you could consider this as an alternative. And NQ at the first place, I had bullish bias for NQ on the day, but bearish because price has already reached the objective where I wanted it to frame towards, and how it reached there is daily open high. So then this was an alternative idea to frame it back. Main idea was still longs for indices. It's just that YYM objective was still open and QES had already reached. So then showing move back inside, then intraday that was the framework to think of shorts. YM had the framework still open and being validated this much, objective still open. So yeah, being conservative and waiting for the best asset to do its unfinished business, and then seeing how driver shows validation or willingness to any asset, that also confirms 930 no immediate validation, 930 clear validation on YM. So yeah,
Like,
this
there is one thing
loss
I can add.
60% valid,
Our
40% not, or 50% valid, 50% not. Just off of NQ's framework, if we keep aside YM for a moment, right? If we keep aside YM, then not too bad of a entry, right? Hannah?
but at the same time, if you see ES, it was really close to high of its high of the day.
I was just
So
ignoring ES. That could be my fault as well, but I
yeah,
just kept my focus NQYM, NQYM.
and
This was
and I
my.
remember I remember talking with Hitesh by saying, "Acha, now ES definitely once it takes high of the day, then only we'll see." We had this
I didn't
conversation.
even see when ES reached for high of the day at this
Yes.
same time. I just realized that
Yeah.
ES reached the high of the day, high of the day at the same time. NQ swept this and went lower. After I revisited my loss, after it reached for the low of the day objective. Because yeah, you could say like lack of sleep does have an impact. Like not blaming it on lack of sleeps, like but it somewhere affects. I
It
slept.
can definitely be lack of sleep, bhai,
I
in your
slept.
case.
I slept in the morning 7 a.m. today. Same for yesterday morning 6 a.m. Like same for past 10 days. Was doing some important work, yeah, so kind of justified for me, and that work is now done. So that's why I am ready to go in depth with my main work now. And I wasn't even getting time to reflect back on my wins and losses as well. Just doing the work and going on to next day, doing the work, going on to next day. This was my approach for past 10 days because it was something very important, which for which I had very few time. So yeah, I was all into it the past few days. Away from this as well, just like stacking the days in this field. Now, as it has been done, now I
Mm,
can focus more on it. But if we
do
just
we
talk
move
about
on to
NQ's framework, no
Adivan?
SMT was there at this point. NQ valid to frame away from previous DI, then high of the day protected swing should form here. Only turn off was if we just forget YM's framework for the moment, right? Only turn off the 930 should have immediately went away, because this was the best time and place it should form, right?
But I also took the trade on today NQ when
Okay,
ES took the
I have
high
the
of
day.
the day and showing display.
Means you took a win.
And then I took
Yes,
the
bhai.
NQ shorts. Like once
But
the ES was the high of the day,
हाँ जी, हाँ
and
जी.
that time I was thinking
Just by what time
maybe it
frame?
will.
What time frame was your
What
entry?
time?
Time frame and what
Later
time?
on 3 minutes, three minutes, and later on after 9:30, like around 9:45 something.
Like you took a win or loss?
first,
Okay, you took the win, I
I
assume, because NQ went lower after ES took the high of the day. Yes. So
yes,
you would have taken somewhere here, trusting
yes,
trusting this high. Yes, that could have been
yes,
considered, but less risk reward if you just have a look at.
yes, yes, yes.
But good framework.
This the second thing is why it took 2 times like stop hunt because like the people who enter after
अच्छा
this
ये बोल
closing
रहे हो
the
आप, एक दो है ना?
हाँ जी
हाँ वही, एक
हाँ
पे तो
जी
मैं भी पट हो गया ना, इस वाले पे तो मैं भी पट हो गया.
पर
So
शॉर्ट्स का फ्रेमवर्क था ना आज
था पर वाईएम का लॉन्ग फ्रेमवर्क मच बेटर था, वो बोल रहे हैं हम. Okay, okay. Last thing for NQ, UDY, what I wanted to go over is if we forget YM, right? Completely forgetting the fact YM had a good framework. Let's forget YM is even an asset. Let's just keep it to NQ for a moment. Okay, we can include ES.
oh,
Would
again,
you
bhai, at the
think
same time, if you see,
my entry here, just based off of NQ's framework, was good? I would say
why could you show
uh,
yes?
70% good, because 930 students spend this much time. Objective is open, half the day is already put in, 930 has already reached a spot where it should immediately go away now, right? And enough move back inside kind of retracement and reach the best spot where it should end. Framework is too good, half the day is far apart from here, objective is open, so then it should immediately go away from here, not spend time. So only turn off, if we just have a look at NQ, was then it fails to immediately turn away from this high. It should have been stayed intact. Best height to be found by 930. So if we just have a look at NQ, that entry wasn't very bad but wasn't very good, because that entry should have formed immediately after here. Price should not have reached back again. Immediately should have displaced, closing through these. So if we just consider only NQ's framework, that is still a kind of turn off, right? So not the best execution by me today. Now NQ's part is complete. Would anyone like to add anything? Because I could still be missing something. I tried my best to go through it again, journal it as deeply as I could, because now I do have the time to do it, and I would love to go much deep. Udai, would you like to add any finishing touch, or now I can move towards my RTY long?
No, madam, we can move on to our team.
Okay, now forget our 952. Uh, what I reflected on it. What I could have done, we went over it. So yes, NQ is complete now. Now on to just YM and RTY. Okay, RTY, good framework, right? High time frame buy model, lows rejecting, highs getting displaced through lows rejecting, again low rejecting, clear draw. So yeah, two good framework in a YM, right? But no entry till there, right? Remember, no entry till there. 930 just boom, 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 and that is valid. It can form anyhow, it any way it wants. But RTY's YN's correlated, those correlated pair is this asset here, RTY, which also had same framework. Lows rejecting has a protected low intra-week. Previous day also failed to reverse off of a relevant swing. I should show the daily chart perspective. Now it would be much better. Forget about this for a moment. We have a protected swing form in the intra-week range on Wednesday. Price displacing away from here and then reaching at a relevant swing, right? Now at this relevant swing, it fails to reverse. Then if it fails to reverse, what is the objective for it? The next relevant swing to it. See, it fails to reverse off of this here. I mean, I want to show it with the best time frame I can, so you people can get an idea. मेरे को बेस्ट टाइम फ्रेम दिखाओ, मैं तब तक चेंज करते रहूँगा. Yes, now good. See, if it wanted to reverse, it should have immediately reversed off of here. This is the next relevant thing, but it reaches, shows a bit move back inside, and then starts to displace away from it again. So yeah, this is kind of a true breakout framework for me. Okay, so if this true breakout is gonna held, I would want this low to hold and next day's profile to displace away from here, which next day does. So I do have the same expectation for RTY now. Clear objective, clear framework off of this relevant swing, clear objective. Okay, going into New York. This objective here. Price again sweeping a low, bullish order flow. Your opportunities lie once price displaces through highs or once price rejects a low. Your opportunities lie at two places. Highs getting displaced through, highs getting displaced through. This is where your opportunity lies, or lows getting rejected. Lows getting rejected, lows getting rejected in a bullish order flow. And then add in this SMT. This is optional if you want, if you don't want. Up to you. 4 or fair value gap SMT was present.
Yes.
That I would like to add. Like this 10 p.m. was swept in YM. ये कौन सा YM है? This 10 p.m. See this swept by YM, not swept by RTY. So this SMT I would like to add in. Price displacing away from here, right? You can now consider this SMT. If you don't want to consider, just keep it to highs and lows. How price reacts to highs, displacing through. How price reacts to lows, rejecting, bullish order flow. So then you would target another high, which you had the framework from off of the daily chart, right? So now how did I frame the RTY long? Again being validated by the 930 driver. 930 price has already reached there, right? Prior to 930, the highest point in the day, and which still has much enough space, away from here. So if RTY wants to still go lower for the day, it can still go, right? Because this still has enough room away from here, right? Enough room. But that case now depends on 930. Like if the bullish order flow wants to stay intact, 930 should displace through this high, because price has already reached into here at the time 930 comes. And if 930 immediately moves away from here, then that would be scenario of bearish framework, which I wouldn't have liked to pay much attention. I would have preferred bullish scenario. So going into 930, price already reaching for high of the day, which has enough separation away from here. So I would want 930 to displace away from here, not reverse off of here, to hold the bullish scenario. Then 930 does not reverse off of here, starts displacing away. So yeah, best confluences, drivers adding validation to your idea. Once 930 starts to displace away, now I would be much more 100% kind of seeing confident with this as the drop, framing away from here, right? just finding a enough range continuation entry. Now something which UDY talked about is this. I mean, yeah, you could still take it. Not something which I would say bad, but much better than YM's entry. Why am I still considering it? As if you were gonna look at the range prior to it as just consolidating, price is in a ranging mode, and price if expands off of the range, then it is just consolidation to expansion, and in an expansion we do not expect deep retracement, right? And if this expansion is much more validated, this should be expansion towards an objective. If this expansion is validated by this specific driver with this much willingness, then yeah, you would have a bit higher expectations for this, or too good expectations for this expansion to happen, like small ranges to then large ranges, consolidation to then expansion, consolidation to then expansion. So once 930 displaces away this much, now I am could be confident with this as a draw, and price being in the expansion mode till there. And this is something, yes, I can 100% consider enough range entry with enough range opposing candle, and something I could trust. I did not take it, but if you ask me if this was a valid entry, I would say yes, 90%, 95% yes, or I could till some to some extent I could even say this is a 100% valid entry, because now you would expect price to be an expansion state, right? With how 930 enters the market, consolidation to expansion confirmed. If expansion, you would not want to see deep retracement, like this small retracement, then again expansion. You would not want to see deep retracement, expansion, small retracement, expansion, small retracement. This is something you expect in a high probable framework, but I still did not take it as I wasn't even looking at this. You know the reason? NQ sync. NQ and YM. I was more focused on
But
NQ,
first reason was YM, because
NQ and
YM was
YM.
super super close
Super
to its
super close,
objective.
but yeah, but still,
It
I
would
would
reach
still say
first
this is
and know if it
100%,
manipulated.
not 100%, but 95% still valid. But I did not take it. I
Mhm.
was able to look at RTY only after YM reached its objective, because I was focused on NQ and YM only. I wasn't even paying attention to ES. Kind of my lack of sleep issue, which wouldn't be there from now onwards. 10 a.m., 10 a.m., 10, 10, 10, 10 a.m. is where?
It comes
Here.
back.
10 a.m. is here. Okay, now I do have an objective left, but around 10 a.m. here. Sorry, wrong asset. Here. YM. It has already reached its objective. So now I would like to see how its correlated asset reacts here, right? Like if this correlated asset, which is the strongest asset for the day, if it reverses off of this objective, I would not like to frame the weaker assets to this objective as well, right? Because then this, now I would like to frame away from here, so I wouldn't try to long anyways. But once this strongest asset not able to reverse off of this objective, which gets confirmed when, just a moment, see, price not paying much relevance to it, just displacing through, right? Not reversing off of it. इसको प्यार चलाऊंगा पीछे, है ना? So new opening time 10 a.m. open low, starts displacing away, so price failing to reverse off of it, then yeah, I do have the open objective in this asset. It's correlated asset that also had too good framework to long till there, right? So then I took this M1 entry. Like if I show you the M15 perspective, expansion, to then retracement best objective obviously. Oh, मैं मार चलाऊंगा best objective, right? है ना? And that happens at new candle opening time 10 a.m. open low. So expansion 10 a.m. does first 15-minute retracement, the strongest asset not reversing off of this objective. So yeah, now I could expect this to be a retracement and not a reversal. So retracement, then I am framing expansion away from where. And if you add in this SMT as well, now see, I'm not paying as relevance to any SMT. Or if you talk about SMT, you can remove SMTs completely from my model and I would still be okay. Just I add it to my existing narrative. See, YM the strongest asset not reversing off of there, then SMT there rise will. So yeah, then I assume that okay, this is gonna reach here as well. The framework is completely valid. Then off of here, that M15 retracement objective, if I just move it, मैं मार चलाऊंगा. This was the objective, right? On the M15 chart, this M15 fair value gap. So price comes, forms a protected low in the 10 a.m. candle, first M15, but I do not want to be picking extreme lows. But once this signature happens, another continuation leg with enough range forms off of here, close through. Yeah, then I could consider trust this, and if I trust this, then I trust this as well to hold, assuming this is expansion to retracement with the strongest asset not reversing off of here, then this is retracement. Retracement should end there, 15 M15 fair value gap. So now retracement to expansion again. That was my expectation. So yeah, I took RTY longs. My fill was somewhat 500.2. 500.2. Yeah, after this candle closed, on this candle was my fill, trusting this low. So this was my RTY long, and yeah, I did trail, but I wasn't even able to add. Then I trailed here, and a new invalidation forms next M15 OHLC aligning with the expansion retracement, then again expansion. If I'm expecting this to be retracement, the next candle should be expansion, which it does. Opposing candles starts expand away. Yeah, it expanding away from this low. So then I'm trusting this, but UD buy took another entry which formed after this.
And the reason I took that entries was because I didn't even see these. I missed them.
And I
So
also
that was
wasn't
the
able to
reason.
see these. I just saw that once price was here. So yeah, I told myself I could trust this. Unfortunate that I wasn't able to add to my position. But yeah, UDY took this closer here, because in an expansive market you would want enough ranged opposing candles to hold. This is enough range, not too small. So then price expands towards the objective. Yes. So this was my RTY long. Not much to think about this. I would say I did completely right on my part. If I was to add, let's see if this was enough. Yes, this was too good framework as well. More than 2 hours. Trusting this low. And this is even better than what my entry was, I would say, right? And I do
Yes.
like I took entry trusting this low. But this entry is even backed by the M15 candle that expands away from this candle, which is supposed to be retracement, and then the next M15 starts expanding away, validating the narrative of this to be retracement. So this entry here is much more probable than mine, I would say. So yeah, you should sometimes reflect back on your wins as well. Sure that I wouldn't have got like I would have got a less risky reward. But talk in terms of probability, this, if I rate this my entry which I took as 8 out of 10, I would rate this as 10 out of 10, this entry. And it is proof that I wasn't there to add, because if this I am rating this as 10 out of 10, then I would have added to my position as well. But yeah, it is what it is. But framing off of high time frames, I did good on NQ's part, not too good, but just off of high time frame. Yes, YM good, RTY good. Just one thing, waiting for 10-15 would have been much more probable, adding more probability to my edge, right? And NQ waiting for the best assets which have clear objective to do their unfinished work, which was YM. So yeah, those two things could have been improved off of my true trade today. NQ short, waiting for YM, which is the best asset, being validated by 930 driver, because NQ wasn't being validated by 930, and waiting for this 10-15 candle, because if this 10-15 aligns, because what is my idea initially, right? I am expecting this to be retracement. By retracement, objective is still intact for me. Why objective is still intact? Because the asset which has already reached there, which is the strongest, is not reversing off of it, displacing through there. Then yeah, I am framing this as the lagging asset till here. So then I wouldn't assume this as a reversal. I would assume this as a retracement, and that retracement to me should end there. And if it should end there, then what should the next candle do if the retracement has ended? Then the next candle should expand away, which is the next candle 10-15. The next candle forms an what should form a bullish candle expanding away, should form an OLHC. What it does, open to low, immediate expansion away, forming what, open to low, expanding away from here. Then your narrative is even more back. So yeah, I could have
I actually thought you took this entry.
this one, right? But I took this.
Yep.
Yeah, I the better entry, I would still say the best entry, not the better. Neither you, neither me was able to take the best entry today. You took this one, I took this one,
Yes.
and the best entry was in the middle of ours. Like I took the first, you took the third, the best entry
Yep.
was second. But yeah, reflecting back is the best thing, and I'm very happy that I'm getting time to reflect back on my positions, be it on wins, be it on losses. And I do enjoy reflecting back on my losses more than I do enjoy reflecting back on my wins. Reflecting back on wins is also a must, because sometimes you take a win accidentally out of luck, and that isn't sustainable. So yeah, would you like to add something to my this RTY recap, or if you want to add
Oh
something
my
to NQ
goodness.
recap, anything?
In RTY, I can just think of that one thing, that M2 closure earlier.
Okay, this,
940. Yeah, somewhere there, yes.
but like any positions, I what I used to do when I used to do journaling in my Notion, the time where I growed very much, like at a pace one can't even imagine. What I used to do is think as like I used to stay neutral. Like if I'm bullish biased, then could there be chances, how could this bullish bias fail as well, or how could this turn into bearish? So think of the against situation as well. So that did very much wonders for me. Now let's try to find out the turn-offs for this entry. Like I did explain it being like 90-95% good, and yes, that is valid. But let's try to find out if this wasn't good at somewhere. Um, Off of RTY, this still looks 100% good. YM, YM still no turn off, I would say, because YM one turn of that could have been that Vayam has reached a kind of objective which comes in a way, but that still isn't much of relevance to me, and that is still being displaced through. So not a turn off, instead a add on at the same point, and then at the same point you are getting enough range with a fill of kind of low time frame retracement objective. So I would still rate this as a good entry, because I am still
But the
says
only
going
red
higher.
flag for us,
Bolo bolo.
was why YM was very bullish at that moment, and it was obviously it would reach its
So
objective
that is a
first.
good thing now.
And
I
if
am
it
being too bullish.
uh,
That
and if
how
it started to manipulate there, I would be the first person to get knocked out.
okay, you are thinking in terms of
Yeah,
like okay, too much
correlation.
expansion.
Yeah,
If not reversal, then if even a retracement occurs,
retracement.
okay,
Yes.
you are thinking that way. Good Josh. Now
Yes.
let's think that way. Why I'm
So
being too close? Because it only has to expand this much, which it would sure do at this moment of time. But at this same moment, is the objective close in RTY? Not so close
it is a little bit
as
far.
it is on YM. YM it is somewhere here, right?
Yes.
So you are thinking, okay, if YM reaches its objective first, and YM has been
And 10 a.m.
continuously
was to come
expanding,
now.
Hana, this is your concern. YM has been
Yes.
continuously expanding. So you can expect, if not reversal, at least a retracement. So if a retracement occurs, sure shot that RTY would expand till the time YM reaches for its objective as well. But you are thinking in too protective way, that is kind of good thing. That if YM starts to retrace, then you would be the first to get
No, but
swept as the retracement objective. Sure that it could expand, but nope. I would still say too good framework that is being validated. Like
but we have seen assets
just
living really,
listen.
really
Prolonged consolidation. What comes after consolidation?
expansion by, but
है ना?
वही है ना कि we have seen price leaving one tick, two ticks on a failure
One
swing
tick,
to the
two ticks,
ultimate
but
objectives.
then that
Uh,
is framework just for one asset. Now two good framework that it should be no like continuous expansion is there for both assets. YM it was obviously there. RTY obviously there as well. Consolidation.
yeah,
Price has reached one end of consolidation prior to 930. Now 930 would be the one deciding if consolidation to expansion to upside or if manipulation to form where. 930 expanding away, telling that okay, not reversing off of there. Now it should be, it has waited along. Now it won't wait. This should be your approach. Prolonged consolidation. That consolidation ends at 930. 930 just displays through. Then yeah, you would expect the price to stay in expansive state. But if still we consider your thing, like one thing, this entry just on its own, good or bad, I would say 99
on
or
its own,
90
yes,
or
definitely good,
100% good,
definitely
because
good. Yep,
not small but too good range and immediate
yep.
displacement.
I
Then
agree with
that
you.
SMT, just situational things adding up. Now tell me if you can expect this to hold at least until YM hits its objective, right? Suppose YM is too close to its objective, which is there, right? You can consider RTY expanding till the
That
point,
I
at least
definitely can try.
till the
Yeah,
point YM reaches for its objective. Sure, you are thinking this way. Too much expansion into the extreme objective. YM could at least retrace, if not reverse, right? So you are being conservative in that way that it would retrace and you would be the retracement objective. But
yeah.
at least you can expect RTY to expand till the point YM reaches for its objective. Yes or no? Yes, right? But now what you can do, break even is there, right? Because if it should hold, then it should not come back. And let's see if we would have been
But
break
then
even
it
or
did come a take break even. I
1.5
saw
hour.
this.
What we can take is partials at 1.5 hour or at the time YM reaches for its objective.
Manually
Let's see
that could have been considered, yes.
at what time YM reaches there. 9:52 if I'm not wrong. 9:54. 9:54. ओए अच्छा सॉरी
वो मैन इसको क्या हुआ?
वो होता है वो जो एकदम स्किप करो ना 9:52 राइट 9:54 not 2 okay VAM reaches for its objective in the next candle so you can take a partial
Okay,
at
manually close.
1.5 hour or at the same point VAM reaches for its objective which kind of aligns with 1.5 hour and then what you can do is break even like if this should hold as well right then it should not come back this much if it comes back just your luck unfortunate just but
And we did
think
count.
if think of it in terms of this would you want 10 a.m. to come this much back or go till the obvious objective like
I'm
you
getting
were
your point.
thinking this way if I am retraces then you could be stopped out here 10 a.m. should do this first which it should do right objective is like all set to be reached or it should retrace this much back 12 points or 5 points so if you get stopped out at break
Getting
even
what you're
that is
saying, right?
still
Yes.
valid I would say right but
Yeah,
after
yeah.
taking some partials 1.5 hour if you are not putting break even then you shouldn't partial as well either full TP or stop if you are thinking of it as okay I should put break even then you are thinking of a possibility that it should turn on you if you are thinking of a possibility that it can turn on you then you first approach should be scaling out rather than trailing scaling over trailing any day like when you think of protecting your position protecting the best way to protect is scale out take out some profits that is one thing I learned from the one whom I call my mentor and that does work okay let's see yes I would say it would have stopped you on break even but I would still say 1.51 and then break even still valid but after the framework gets valid my entry or the 10-15 entry sure shot valid right and this still holds है ना but yeah taking a break even I would say if you would have took this taking a break even still valid to me here because why I'm reaching the objective here and it coming all the way back in hindsight I you me anyone can say holding with this but live market is different so taking a break even if you would have taken this justified but that 10-15 position the best one can take on any asset today
Definitely buy.
any asset
And that's it.
NQES YM RTY this 10-15 the bestest entry all four indices this entry here at this top gives you more than 2 hours as well what I took gave me 3 hours but I would still rate this as the best entry I took this 500.2 was my fill this was my stop I executed there this is 3.3 hour but best test entry yes so yeah good one and I like this in-depth recap now I can be better in a better mental state oh anything you guys would like to add
Awesome, awesome recap. I
just
went
by
too
or
long.
the ones in the audience watching everybody is allowed to have an opinion and this is being recorded yes just by no worries appreciated brother पर ये कैसा नाम है विंडोज
ये मत बोलो यार, ये तेज ने भी बोला था, हमने 2-3 दिन आता था इस पे.
अब वो पता भी नहीं ये हिंदी नाम है इंग्लिश नाम है तो उसको क्या है okay now I would end the recording and yeah thank you very much for whoever would be watching this recording or whoever attended the session live.
अच्छा हिंदी.
मेरे को लगा ही था यार. Okay guys, meet you till the next time. Yeah, have a good day.